I have actually changed quite a bit this year in my golf bag. In this video, we're going to dive into the what's in the bag, the good, the bad, and the evil as to why I made changes. I don't change that often, but this year some of the stuff was too good that I couldn't not get into it. So stick around all the way through. If you've got any questions, of course, dial them in the comment section. But you can maybe learn something about my bag that will help you as a golfer. Gonna bring you an updated what's in the bag. TaylorMade has changed a lot of equipment this summer. Of course, being around it every day, I've decided to get into testing some of that. But it's important you understand, I wear a logo on the side of my hat, clipped, it's data. And that was showing me that my approach play needed a little bit of attention. That's really the driver as to why I ended up switching irons. We'll start at the top end of the bag. Brand new head covers, literally coming out here in a few weeks. Dive on these if you want. I'll put the link in the bio. This is going to be a Seamus canvas head cover, Nantucket red, all the details in there. I'll let you check them out. The driver has remained the same, but I was diving around trying to find some shafts for a buddy of mine, and I ended up seeing this in the cupboard, which is, it's a prototype golf shaft. I've category 5. It's the KBS Prototype TD. They are bringing out some new stuff. You heard it here first. The difference between these two is going to be the strength and the tip. When I first tried the category 6, which is the stronger one, almost like an X, it was a little too boardy, and I defined that by hitting quite a few low in the blade, getting them launching low and spinning. So I settled on the Cat 5. That's where I'm at right now. I play the QI10 LS in standard. I think lie angle's around about 59. It's a little bit shorter than standard. A lot of people ask me, I'm 5'7". At a push. They ask me a lot about length that I use. When I'm fitting someone, I'll base it on whether they early extend, their hand, wrist to floor measurement as well, still key. Anyone who knows a history of fitting, that's a big number. But I'm also looking at launch and how they deliver the golf club. I know that with players in the past that have been shorter in stature, they've wanted to use the maximum length, Ian Woosden, for example, and then you get guys like Ian Poulter, and he actually uses shorter than standard. So it's really player dependent. I'm gonna lie it down on the floor next to the Tour Aim. You've seen me use that before. I like it as a reference point when I'm fitting. I like it as a reference point when I'm hitting. It doesn't mean I absolutely mean that you have to stand square to the target in order to hit a good golf shot, but it's a reference point. I like to get a feel for where the player is. I use that in my practice. I also use the full swing kit. It's been fantastic for me. Video coming out where we're going to look at face to path delivery numbers. That will show you all of those things. Other trinkets in the bag that you've seen, I have the Sky Caddy. I prefer it to a laser for the simple reason that it gives me all the information. You'll have seen when I did the Barstool videos with the 4Play guys, working with Trent a little bit when he was my partner, talking about the back edge number of the green. It's more important, I think, sometimes than where the flag is. Deeper in here, and I want to get to this early, this is in for sure, and it's another big change. It's the clear path on the stripe of the TP5X. This has now come, you used to see it in contoured colors, it's now come to the TP5 and the TP5X golf ball. I use the X because I spin it a lot, because I get narrow, steep, very spinny on the launch monitor. That then puts me into this model of golf ball. But my putting stats, again clipped showing me 6 to 15 feet needed improvement. Now I can use this to show exactly where I'm at. Diving around a little bit as we're on putters, that then is going to bring me into a training aid that I've got in here at the moment. This is just simply a gate. You can put tees down if you want. I was sent some stuff from a company called Back to Basics. I did a podcast with an Australian guy. It's an Australian company. That mirror is used by Cam Smith. The mirror's great. I haven't got it with me here today, but I have got the gates in the bag. Chalk line. So find a straight putt. You've seen me work on that, work with stripe, and then Tour Aim Plus as well, which you've also seen us work with, which comes to do ball position. I have a lot of videos on how I'm now using the stripe to influence your head position when it comes to your putting. That then sets the putter that you use. There are 3 in here, and I've got a slightly different mentality with putting at the moment. This has been the one, Del Monte Armlock. Numbers on clipped have been good with this. Pace control, maybe not as good with this type of putter. Very heavy in the shaft. I use it as an arm lock. I hole out pretty good, but I think that the pace control becomes questionable. A little while ago, TaylorMade bought Olson putters. I saw this, shout out Bucky Coe, Tommy Fleetwood inspired Olson. I mean, this thing is so beautiful. The offset suits my right eye dominance when it comes to putting. not a lot of offset. If you know your eye dominance, if you're right eye dominant, you probably won't want to go for too much offset. I know based on clip, distance missed. So everything I'm changing has a theory behind it. If I'm putting amazing, I like to take this one out. But conversations I've even had with Q behind the camera about mallets versus blades, they're great for feel. Yes, they look like jewelry, but again, after using that stripe, and this is an old one for me, but I've got a double bend Tour Truck Tuesday engraved, which I love that font, Trotty Spider Tour. This was back from when I was out on the tour every single week. It's got the abrasive Spider Tour cover on the bottom, so if you're on the slick Bermuda, the potter doesn't move around. I use the skinny Lamkin grip, always with the cord. I just like the hard feel. And I've actually made the swing weight, this is 2 6s in it, off a Jason Day putter I had at home, so it's lighter. So I've actually gone light, because it's only about 33 1/4 on a USGA ruler. And then the swing weight, balance point, is high C's. So driver would be D3, D4. That's the mass of the head when it strikes the golf ball is at D3, D4. That would be about standard. If you played persimmon back in the day, you'd be at D7, because the more energy you have into the strike, the more hit you're gonna get. But in your putters, having worked as well with Tiger's putter, the swing weight is quite light. So if you pick up old school putters, you'll notice swing weight's quite light. If you struggle a bit, here's a tip with yips or anything like that, getting into heavier stuff like my Armlock, pretty much get rid of that motion, because it becomes more of a swing, like a Newton's cradle type theory. But I find that the best putters I know, Dean Wilson being one of them who's helped me with tons of putting stuff, not super heavy in the head weights, which then I think gives you more feel. That would be the one I'm using if I was going to go and play right now today. It's face balanced, which wouldn't really go with my stroke, but again, putting is all personal preference. Ball's going in right now, and I'm using that stripe. But if I could, in an ideal world, and I was an absolute gamer, this one's got the slightly thicker grip on. I like it, I just struggle to get it to the hole sometimes. Again, no insert, so that makes a difference. If you've got an insert, you can get that ball rolling. Then I have 2 fairway woods. So I have the QI10 3 wood, which is great, with the KBS TD in there. This is a shaft that they make, again, 70 now, so up in weight, Cat 5. It's tipped a country mile. It's tipped like 2 and a bit inches, which is a lot for what I've used. Then underneath the canvas fairway wood cover, I still have the Stealth 2 high launch, bent stronger. Reason being, these are both bonded hosels, meaning you can't change the hosel, but it's just very flat. They're both very flat lie angles. Both going to the range with me at the moment, so even though this is a complete new Watts in the bag, they've been floating around since the last Watts in the bag. Definitely something I'm still looking at, still working with. Fairway woods are always a difficult thing to get right. Rib grips in these, which means there's a little rib down the back of the Golf Pride. I'm always very particular about the length when I put the grips on. I know, having worked with former Open champion Paul Lawrie, he got me a nightmare on this from the tour. So making sure that the butt cap is all the way down and you can actually see that there's a little rise there. Literally used to put a grip on and he'd really push the top, so you had to make sure the thing was on. And then I don't stretch these, but I do them to length. So you'll notice everything is bang on the length. Now ribs on the fairway woods, I've got round on the driver. In case my swing is off, I will dive into the sleeve setting. I've got an eye range, shout out to those guys. I use that if I'm filming golf swings or content. Gene and the boys over there customized it up for me, so appreciate that. Rocket Tour head cover on this. I like them. It reminds me of Anthony Kim back in the day, David Toms, Greg Norman, going back to the 90s, but OG throw out for those guys. Now this rescue, the reason, this is old, but the reason this is in is because every time I make a video for you guys, I always bring this rescue down, I never play it, and I absolutely stripe it. So in the end, I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna use it. And that's why it's in. Lie angle, because it's that sleeve, is maybe a little upright for me, but it's playable. It doesn't look like it sits as up as some of the other models, so I like it. In standard setting, this is the John Rahm prototype Tour Hybrid KBS 95 Plus shaft in this. Having played some longer golf courses, I just feel like it apexes higher than my 3-iron, which brings me into the 4 and 5. I do have the 3 made up in this, and this is really the area that I know everyone's kind of interested in. The new 770s. I was gonna play the full set. I went to Bend, Oregon to play an event. I took the full set and just couldn't quite, for me, at the altitude in Bend, playing the TP5X golf ball, it forced me in the end to play TP5. Just powerful. Great golf clubs, but an adjustment. So there was a par 3 there at 205 uphill where I hit 6-iron every day and found the green every day with a 6-iron. From working with some great players and comboing with the likes of Justin Rose, Tom Watson would also talk about the 6-iron being the pivot of the set, OG legend of the game, make sure you Google him. Rosie though would be a common one that 6-iron is where you look at for combos. And I just got to the place where the 4-iron was going in the P770 and it was launching higher thanks to the flighted CG. Then I was like, well, why not play it in a 5? And really that par 3 up in Bend got me to the place where I built 2 6-irons. This might be something you have to do. Remember, your golf clubs are a squad. I got 2 6-irons and I still got to the point where I haven't taken this one out yet. It's performing well, and it got me thinking, like, if I'm anywhere from 185 to 205, depending on elevation, depending on pin, depending on shot, hitting the green and putting it to 25, 35 feet is a great golf shot. Why are you making it tougher? So I actually went 6-iron in the combo. The lofts we're going to put down in the description, but the lofts came out, and there isn't a strong now for this, but a 6-iron in my, if I was using a standard, would be 31. 770s are 30, so I actually made the rest of the set all the way down into the 56 a little bit stronger in loft. We're going to put the lofts down in the description. You'll notice my lie angles have gone a little bit flatter, and that is in an attempt to keep in extension of the golf swing. So I'm actually making the clubs try and suit me. Shaft lengths are pretty much at tour standard. I don't play shorter, but lie angles are a bit flatter. Again, I always look at the best players that I admire. Fleetwood would be one of them. Flat lie angles. Hogan, obviously a legend of the game, flat lie angles. And I think if you early extend and let the club tilt you that way, sometimes to try and cheat it, you can play a little bit flatter. So we then go into the 7-iron down to the pitching wedge. These things are beautiful. Matt Bovey and his team here did a fantastic job. You can feel the difference between the two when you have a 7-iron versus a 6, just the strike. If you're hitting balls at the Kingdom here or wherever, and you then switch between them, you can feel it. There is a slight difference in feel, but once I adjusted the lofts, and I was so particular about that, then I was able to combo. So I went 7, 8, 9, and I kind of did it for feel, and also for how these things cut through the turf. In the P7 CBs, for the pitching wedge, I kept the set wedge, just something I've always liked to do. I know people play around sometimes with a mill grind 4 or a high toe, but I like to have the pitching wedge match the set. I feel I can control it on yardages. Rib grips on all of those, and stuck with the Tour V 110S. Into the 52, I play 52 that I believe is a little stronger, 56 that's stronger, and a 60 that's on 60. You'll notice with these, standard bounce on all. I've just toyed around with the wedge there. I might go even more bounce. I think the better chipping technique you have, you can get away with more bounce, unless of course you're playing links golf through and through, week in, week out. But the 52 and the 56 looks like this brand new 60, that there's a story behind that, looks like that's going to be completely raw. The 52 and the 56 have this chrome finish with the raw faces. Pretty worn out now, but still not early enough for a freshie. Tour V 110 in the 52, and then I think this is great. Again, it's more of a attempt to get spin off, but the 610 wedge shafts, 56, sorry, and the 60 with the Golf Pride Tour Velvet round on these, because I'll manipulate the face to play these golf shots and I want them round. With this brand new one, I actually hit a tree root the other day, not out of anger, but bent the hosel of the standard bounce that I had. I'm too old now for the anger, so basically this is a C grind. Hit some trap shots with it yesterday for some content for TaylorMade and liked it. I'll definitely work on this a bit more. It's in right now. It has the Trotty Golf logo on there. It's going to be completely raw. It's actually a beautiful wedge, to be fair. Brand new out the pack, so I'm excited about using that. I think these things are called the Tour Light on the golf bag. And other than that, that is pretty much it. A Royal Liverpool Club Championship Junior Club Championship medal. I have a senior one as well, but I like the junior one because it was silver. Always like silver. And then seems to be like a lot of Red Bull tees and Kingdom tees. So that would be it. The complete what's in the bag. If you have any questions, then fire them in the comments below. This is my setup. I think it's important that you own your own setup. I don't really change that much, even though this year, for the first time ever, we've done 2 watts in the bags. The data was driving me to make those changes. I'm a big believer in data. I don't think you can fit without it, be it a launch monitor, be it clipped. If you can bring data to your fitter, it's going to help them. And then own your decisions. There's a lot of stuff in here that still needs work, but it takes time. Don't be afraid to stick with things that you like old school grips. If that's what you like and grew up with, stick with them. It's very personal. I use one tape. Swing weights get heavier in the wedges, and then they are slightly heavier in the woods, and then my irons live at like D3. Swing weights are massive. If you don't know what it is, I'm going to bang that swing weight video down in the description below. Anything else you want to know, fire it in those questions in the comments section, and that is my updated what's in the bag.